Okay, it seems to have slowed down a little bit. All of the participants for tonight. It's so nice to see everybody. Wow, we have 39 here tonight. It's nice to see everybody. Okay, so at 7:17, we will call this meeting of the Board of Directors to order, January 24th, 2024. I'm still not accustomed to saying 2024. Could we please get a roll call?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Erica.
Hi, Erica.
Hi, Tina.
Hi.
Jay Dixit. I see Jay. Karen Sarsa DSI.
Here.
Oh, you're here. Yay. Okay. Thank you. Bill Stewart. Okay.
He may be a few minutes late, Erica.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for him. Chris Lancer.
Here.
Hey, Chris. Trish Gonzalez.
Here.
Richard Centeno.
I'm here, Erica.
Hi, Richard.
Yeah.
Joseph Wong.
Here.
Tina Wright.
Here.
Bruce Cruikshank.
Here.
Philip Loy.
Here.
Sammy. Excuse me. And Paula Rodarte. Okay, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Well, okay, good evening, everyone. So nice to see everybody. And gosh, like I said, welcome to 2024.
Yeah.
We all had a chance to review tonight's agenda. Does anybody have anything that they need to add to tonight's agenda? Okay, not hearing anything. Let's go on to then review our minutes for our last meeting, December 13th, 2023. They were in your packet. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as written?
Actually, Julie, there you are.
Yes.
We do need to make a correction, please.
Sure.
So on the present and absent, there needs to be some corrections made there. Present shows Paula was present and she was actually absent. So absent should only be Paula and Rachel. The other, based on my notes, the other 4 individuals were present. Myself, Bill, Jay, and Sam.
Thank you. Yes, I was there.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Trish. Erica, did you got all that? Wonderful, thank you. Okay, anything else that needs to be amended on the minutes?
I'm going to be nitpicky. I have one more.
Go ahead.
The call to order was at 7:17, not 7:18.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
You are a very detailed person. I used to think I was, but I think you may.
I keep my notes and I write it all in here.
No,
so.
I love it. Trust me.
Me too.
Okay. All right. So with those 2 changes then to the minutes for December 13th, 2023, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I move we approve the minutes as amended.
Thank you, Bruce. Do I have a second?
Aye.
Thank you, Tina. All right. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes as amended, please say aye or raise your hand or both. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, all right, thank you so much. That motion does carry. Let's go on to our public input. Do we have anyone for public input tonight?
Yes, we have Carl Argila.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Mr. Argila, please go ahead.
Hi, Erica. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great, thank you. So once again, board, thank you for giving me the opportunity to make a few comments to the board. My name is Carl Argila. I am the father of Cavan Argila, an intellectually disabled deaf client of the San Gabriel Pomona Regional Center. Tonight's San Gabriel Pomona Regional Center board meeting, including my comments, are being recorded under the provisions of the Bagley-Keene Act and will be posted for public review on my blog, www.sgprc.net. And I've just posted a URL in the chat. And I'm requesting once again, board, that you terminate your conservatorship of my son, Cavan Argila. Your conservatorship of my son is inflicting grave harm on him. For example, he's experienced a 150-pound weight gain during the period of time that you've been my son's conservator. A probate court hearing is scheduled for February 16th. Board, I urge you to terminate your conservatorship of my son, Cavan Argila, at that hearing and allow Cavan and our family to recover from this nightmare which your agency has inflicted on our lives. As I reported previously, my son's former service coordinator, Chrissy Heiler, filed a declaration with probate court which contains statements which I allege are false. And so I'm requesting that Ms. Heiler withdraw her declaration. She doesn't even have to admit that she may have lied. I would like to remind the board once again that on June 27th of 2023, during a mediation session, Dr. Weller agreed that the service agency, that would be you, would attempt to have claimant assigned a deaf service coordinator. Deaf people need to be part of the deaf community as represented in this regional center by a deaf service coordinator. My son doesn't have a deaf service coordinator. I hope you'll ask Dr. Weller for an update on the status. Once again, I'm requesting that the official minutes of this board meeting accurately state and requesting that the San Gabriel Pomona Regional Center terminate their conservatorship of my son, Gavin Argila. So your nitpicking monitor who spoke earlier should make a note that recording in the board meeting minutes that I'm requesting that my son's conservatorship be terminated is not a complete statement. The complete statement is that my son's conservatorship be terminated by you, because you're the ones who petitioned the conservatorship. Thank you again, board, for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. And next month, after probate court hearing, I hope that I'll be able to return and thank you for providing some relief for our family.
Thank you very much. Your comments are appreciated. Anyone else for public input tonight?
No, that was it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. We will move on then to sort of a dual part for our financial report tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Dara.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome and introduce Crystal Micrans. She is with AGT CPA, and they are the CPA firm that had completed our audit this past fiscal year. And so I'm going to hand it over to her, and she's going to do a presentation of those financial records. Welcome, Crystal.
Thank you, Dara. Hello, everybody. Good evening. As she said, my name is Crystal, and I am from AGT CPAs and Advisors, and we were the financial statement auditors for the financial statements this year. We have been for the past couple of years, so you all look familiar. A few weeks ago, I met in depth with the executive committee, and we reviewed the financial statement document in a lot more detail, and they were able to ask questions, and we spent some time on that. So my purpose of showing up to the meeting tonight is just to give a high-level summary of the results of the audit so that you all are aware of the final results. And then also, I believe the goal is to be able to approve the report. We are tying up our last little bits of loose ends from an audit standpoint, but the financial statements that you've been provided in draft form are final as we see it as soon as you approve them. So I hope that you have a copy with you. I'm not sure if you guys were expecting me to share a screen, but I believe I can do this just without screen share, but if I need to, I'm happy to go into the document. But if you have the financial statement document, on page 43 of the PDF is where all of the audit results show up. And the results of our audit were an unmodified audit opinion, and that means that we believe that you can rely on the financial statements as presented. We don't believe that any modifications need to be made to those statements. In addition to that, we did not identify any non-compliance or internal control deficiencies during our audit. So that is a clean audit opinion, and that's exactly what you want to hear as a board, that your audit went smooth and that you can rely on the financial statement document. Just as a reminder, the center is required to receive a financial statement audit each single year because of the funding. And this is different than the DDS audit that is also something that has to be done. So we're different. We're an annual audit each year. In addition to that, we are also responsible for helping prepare the 990 tax return that the center files each year as a nonprofit organization. And hopefully you've been in receipt of a draft of that as well. Really, the tax return is just the same financial data that's included in the audit report, but it's put into format for the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board. So it still reports income and expenses and some other verbiage about some policies and accounting policies, but it's the same information, just kind of looks a little bit different. So as soon as the audit is finalized, the center intends to file their 990 tax return, which is due on May 15th. And so you've been provided a copy, which is part of the requirement that you have a chance to look at that as well. So all documents look good on our end, and I just appreciate you allowing us to conduct the financial statement audit. And the high-level summary is that we didn't have any problems and the statements look good. So I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has for me.
Yeah, Crystal, I had a question.
Sure.
How does a financial statement audit differ from a DDS audit?
That's a great question. So a financial statement audit is looking at the financial statements, which include the balance sheet, the income statement, the cash flow statement, and the financial statement footnotes. So that's representative of the financial data, the GL, general ledger, and trial balance, all compiled together to make a financial statement document, which really is indicative of, kind of tells the story of the organization whose financial statements you're looking at. You can see assets, liabilities, revenue, expenses, and kind of everything in between. And the footnotes describe how those balances are derived. An DDS audit is more of a compliance-based audit. So they're coming in and they have very specific things that they're looking at. I don't want to speak for DDS because I don't work for them and I don't do that audit, but I am aware of the things that they're looking at because we work closely with DDS during our audit from a financial statement standpoint. But my understanding is that the DDS audit and any other type of audit that you might receive is very specific in looking at compliance with laws and regulations. And so they may have different types of testing. Our audit is focused on the financial piece of the organization. And so we do a lot of procedures on the balances and the numbers so that I can come here and present to you and say, based on all of our testing and everything we did, I believe that you can rely on this information that's being published.
If there's some malfeasance that's gone on, say at an agency, would your financial statement audit be able to catch that, or would the DDS audit be able to catch that?
So potentially that would come up in testing, but a financial statement audit is not designed to catch fraud or non-compliance. However, if we become aware of those issues during our audit, we do bring them to the attention of management and the board. So we're not engaged to find fraud. We're not engaged to have absolute assurance either, which means we can't tie down every single penny and say it's exactly correct. You'll read in our audit opinion, it says that we believe the financial statements are reasonably correct, materially correct. So we do what's called, we establish a materiality threshold, and we determine what we believe is material to the users of the financial statements. And we make sure that we're really comfortable that the numbers that are material, we've done enough testing and that you can rely on that information. I cannot speak for what the DDS auditors do as far as looking for or finding malfeasance. That's probably something you could ask them, but I can just speak for our engagement and what we're responsible for.
So the information you're gonna give us, bottom line is, you'll just say how financially healthy we are.
Actually, not necessarily how financially healthy you are. We are saying that here is the financial information that shows where your company is at, and we believe that you can rely that the information is correct. Determining whether you're financially healthy is kind of a loaded question, and that would depend. Different industries are shooting for different markers and different health. Nonprofits might not necessarily have the same goal as a different company, and so we're not coming in and advising or saying that you're healthy or you're not. We're saying that you can rely on the information as it's presented because it's presented in accordance with accounting standards accepted in the United States of America. And so that's our job, is to make sure that the numbers are recorded correctly and that there's not manipulation going on with the numbers.
Manipulation meaning what? That sounds like malfeasance to me, manipulation.
Yeah, so that's an audit risk. When we come in and audit any organization, there's always a risk that the people in charge of the books and records could manipulate them via journal entries, or there's various ways to do it. And so that's why we perform an audit and we perform tests over the numbers to make sure that we are comfortable that those numbers can be relied upon.
Okay. So the board gets that information. You say the information is correct. So how is the board, what are we supposed to do with the information? I mean, what use is it is that information to us as a board?
Well, I wouldn't expect an entire board, especially a board this large, for every single person on the board to understand and be very interested in the financial statement document. But I think that that's the purpose of your smaller executive committee, to be able to spend time with the auditors at the end of the audit and ask questions. If they're, used to looking at financial statements, they're able to ask more specific questions of us. Really, the financial statements are required by DDS, and so they're really a big user of the financial statements, and so they get the report, and sometimes they will come ask us questions as auditors. But you as a board, you're relying that me as an auditor is telling you, we did an audit according to auditing standards, and we believe that you can rely on the information, and so you can, you have peace, I guess, at that point, that the financial statements are materially correct and that there weren't material findings. If I was presenting to you and I said, there's X, Y, and Z findings, then as a board, I believe your responsibility would be to talk with management about those findings and make sure that there's a remediation plan or a corrective action plan in place. But we didn't have any findings. So all I can say is I believe you can rely on the information based on our tests and procedures.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, you saying you talking about hearing impairing, like deaf people? What was in for the big community seat of the board of directory people, okay? So that if the board of directory people from the regional center get a client that comes in to want to sit on the board of directory, okay? If another one of the board of directory cannot hear them, how about the way that you can have an interpreter to interpret, explain to them how to talk or explain to them, sign language to them, what the board's all about? Do you have somebody there to help them have an interpreter? Explain to them what the regional center is all about and stuff. Do you have anybody that on
I
that
can speak to that, Tina. On this very meeting tonight, we have interpreters for.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, there are interpreters for American Sign Language, Spanish, etc.
Yeah.
To make sure that all of the information and everything that's being said is accessible.
Okay, that's what I was that's what I was wondering on that, because I have experience of sign language too, so that's what I was trying to explain on her, what she was trying to say. Okay.
Do we have any other questions for Crystal tonight? As a reminder, the Executive Finance Committee did have a slightly more in-depth presentation at the meeting earlier this month, and as a committee, it was recommended that we put forth this draft audit for full board approval tonight.
Okay.
So this is not the very first time that this information has been presented to at least a faction of our full board, and it has, at this point, it has the full support of the Executive Finance Committee for approval.
Okay.
So that being said, thank you very much, Crystal. Do we have a motion to accept the, at this point, draft audit report from AGT?
I'll make the motion to accept the draft audit report.
Oh, there you are, Bill. Hi, Bill. Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Trish. Okay. Do we have any further discussion or questions with regards to this motion?
I have one question. I didn't see the report in any of the materials. Was that by?
That is a good question.
design?
Could you repeat that, Chris?
I didn't see the report in any of the materials for the meeting tonight. Was that by design or was it left off?
That should have been in the materials tonight. The 990 isn't in the materials tonight, but what I can do is tomorrow I can send that out to you so that everyone has a copy of the 990. Both the 990 and the financial report, once it is in final form, it will be posted to our website.
Okay.
So,
Any other questions? Okay, I don't hear or see any at this point. All in favor of our board members in approving the audit report, please say aye, raise your hand or both.
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Any abstentions? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. That motion has passed. Thank you very much, Crystal, again, for taking time on a Wednesday night in January with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it too.
Okay, I'm going to throw it back over to Dara.
Go ahead and share my screen. Okay, is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Again, members of the board, regional center staff, community members. I will be sharing with you our operations and purchase of service financial report for payments through December 18th, 2023. In the regional center operations, our allocation is, as we've mentioned in the past, based off of the E1 allocation. And oh boy, I think we just had an earthquake. Ooh.
Yes, we had an earthquake.
Wow.
We did.
Oh my God.
That was big.
Wow. Okay. Well, shake us up a little bit tonight. Okay, so hopefully we won't have another one. Everyone okay, right?
Yes.
See, the financial statements are
Okay.
so riveting, it just causes the earth to move. There's my fiscal joke for the evening. Okay, let's see where I am. Okay, so the E1 allocation is based on based on fiscal year for 23-24. And as you can see here, the allocation in the E1 is about just over 49.5 million. We have expected expenditures of over 48 million. Our year-to-date expenditures is just over 16 million, with remaining expenditures of just over 32 million, which at this moment leaves about 908,000, which is unencumbered in regular operations at this time. The Family Resource Center, the Foster Grandparent Senior Companion, the CPP and DC closure, we have received that allocation in the E1, and we expect, as we have done in prior years, to spend all of those funds. Does anyone have any questions on the operations portion of this report? Okay. So moving on to the next, this is our purchase of service. And again, it is based on the E1 allocation, and the allocated amount is 424 million. The current expenditures amount to over 30 million, which brings the year to date of expenditures of 142 million, with a projected remaining and late bills to be 265 million, which would leave at this point an unencumbered amount of just over 16 million. Our CPP, CRDP, and HCBS, we did receive 100,000 of the CPP funds, and at the time of the report, we had not received the CRDP or HCBS funds. When we do receive those funds, as we have done in prior years, we expect to utilize all those funds. Does anyone have any questions in terms of the POS portion of the report? Okay, and so now these are the details of the information that is used to generate the two reports before in both operations and purchase of service. This is our balance sheet. This is, again, our balance sheet in graph form. And this is showing the projected surplus in both operations and POS at this time. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I do, Dara. As you know, you've participated in our work on the strategic plan for the agency. And I was wondering, we're going to need a budget for the plan. There are going to be expenses, ongoing expenses for the plan. Would that fall into operations?
I believe it falls into operations, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so what we would want to do is take a look at what the cost would be, and then we would budget accordingly for those funds. Does anyone else have any other questions? Well, thank you, everyone. Hopefully there'll be no more earthquakes during the next presentation, by the way. I really started it with a bang.
You really did. I mean, I felt it.
Right? It really came through the screen.
It did. And I got to tell you, I must have been the only one that felt it in my house, because otherwise I would have had a 15 and 13-year-old just running in here right now. But they're still out there just nothing happened. So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. As a reminder, the Executive Finance Committee was presented with the financial report at the Executive Finance Committee meeting and approved. So thank you very much. I need to get back to my agenda now. Okay. And there it is. We have, oh my gosh, only one contract tonight to review.
Oh,
One.
I know. I'll make up for it next month.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, President Chutney, members of the board, community members, DDS, and regional center staff. I'd like to present just one contract listed in this evening's agenda for the full board's review. Earlier this month, the Executive Finance Committee reviewed this contract and recommended that it be forwarded to the full board. So on January 1st of 2023, the Department of Developmental Services released a directive to the community. This directive recognized that in order to protect the health and safety of individuals and their rights to access services of their choice, they needed to have access to transportation services. They recognized with staffing shortages across sectors that DDS needed to establish an alternative monthly reimbursement rate. This alternative rate is calculated by using a transportation provider's monthly reimbursement prior to the state of emergency, and then minusing any fuel expenses, but it's based on the number of trips instead of typically how we pay our providers on route miles. So each month, transportation providers must decide for themselves whether or not they want to use their traditional billing of route miles or this alternative method based on the number of trips. I want to let you guys know that on November 30th of 2023, the department did extend the availability for this alternative rate model for our transportation providers through June 30th of 2025. So the subject of this evening's contract is for All Faith Transportation. They have been providing that curb-to-curb transportation services to individuals served by San Gabriel Pomona Regional Center since 2015. Their transportation service is provided to approximately about 130 individuals on 11 different routes. The transportation is used to assist individuals in getting to and from their home, to their work and or their day program. Each month, All Faith Transportation reviews their billing methods and selects again that billing method that best supports the continuation of their services for the folks that we serve. Based on previous billing history, if All Faith Transportation was to use this alternative method, they would exceed $250,000 in annual POS reimbursement, and thus that is why we're here this evening for the board's review. So unless there's any other questions, I'd like to ask the board for their consideration to approve this contract.
Just realized I was muted. Okay, thank you for that. We'll have a chance for discussion as soon as we get a motion. Do we have a motion from a board member to accept the contract as presented?
I will make that motion to accept as presented.
Thank you, Trish. Do I have a second? Philip, thank you so much. Okay, any discussions or questions with regards to the contract for All Faith? Okay.
Oh, bless you.
Pardon me. Thank you. Okay, then all in favor of accepting the contract as presented tonight, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Thank you, Chris. All right, motion carries. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Oh my goodness. I launched in my throat. Okay. Let's move on then to our next committee report, and it's going to be our Community Relations Legislative Advisory Committee.
Thank you, President Chetney. We met actually this last week, which was January 17th, and we were able to learn more about some state and local efforts from Yvonne Graziani, who presented on the Advocacy Connection, gave us some updates on the monthly community calendar, the website. Most specifically, what was interesting was more of this effort to share more personal stories on the website. So that's something that I think we're all looking forward to, seeing the robust new look of the website. She gave us a recap of the holidays and kind of gave us a little bit of information on the emergency preparedness activities, the upcoming Grassroots Day, which is in April, which is going to be in person it's been quite a while. I think last year I was able to participate in it. It was virtual. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for everyone who gets to be part of that committee that goes to Grassroots Day. And then, of course, just some information on the vendor advocacy group. And then that was pretty much it. We just heard a lot about it. We spent a good hour just talking about what was going on and how we can do our part to support the SGPRC. And I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Okay, yeah, some really interesting stuff going. Are you going to be going to Grassroots Day, by the way?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was there last year. I did it last year, which was really a great opportunity. So if anyone gets a chance to do it, I think everyone should have an opportunity to do that and learn how it all works.
Yeah, it is a learning curve for those of us who are not involved in legislative stuff, on a regular basis. Thank you very much. Okay. Gosh, we're ahead of schedule. The Vendor Advisory Committee, Chris.
Thank you. For the Vendor Advisory Committee, a lot of issues brought up in our January 4th meeting. One of the big issues that was brought up was the issues with the ICF and managed care funds, which we were very happy to see just 2 days ago on Monday that DDS had put out a letter that I think Jesse will be speaking about in his executive summary. So we're very happy about that. So thank you to DDS and to regional centers for coming up with a stopgap solution to a major problem that's been occurring. Kind of the same discussions that we usually have regarding wage increases, a lot of the new policies in California regarding wage increases, sick time increases, and a lot of the funding issues that a lot of the vendors are encountering in this new fiscal year. Another of the good things that's coming up, we're having our first job fair committee meeting which will be held on the job fair, which will be held in April. Our first meeting will be held next Monday, January 29th at 10 a.m. To begin the planning process for that. So we have a lot of vendors that are going to participate in that committee to put together a job fair at the regional center, which we're very excited for. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's very interesting. The job fair committee does anybody from regional center know? Do we have that on our calendar on our website? Like, well, just I guess is it an ad hoc? It must be an ad hoc committee.
It's an ad hoc.
And is it open to anyone?
It's just I think it's a work group. It's part of the VAC.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're supporting them to use our premises to have a job fair to help them with staffing. And so I think we'll finalize it and then advertise it, with Yvonne's help. And
I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. Okay, thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Lots going on.
Chris, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the job fair also designed for the vendors to provide jobs for the people that we serve at the regional center?
Absolutely. For those vendors that do have positions available for individuals served, it would absolutely provide for that as well.
How successful has it been?
This will be the first time that we are doing it. So the idea that is behind this is to do a job fair as well as a vendor introduction. So we can have vendors that will introduce services that they provide in addition to hosting a job fair at the same time. So kind of a mixed bag.
Kind of a marketing thing and a way of getting staffing up to par. Huh? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, we shall move along to the Strategic Development Advisory Committee. Our chairperson is Bruce.
Thanks, Julie. At our last meeting, the Strategic Development Committee compiled a list of board training topics for this year, 2024. There are going to be 4 trainings, and they will have a variety of topics. On February 28th, there'll be a 2-part training on communicating to the board and its committees outcomes and costs of regional center programs. And the second one of that meeting will be the history and evolution of the Department of Developmental Services and the regional center system. On April 24th, the topics will be strategies for effective and productive board meetings. And then the second topic will be the role the board plays in strategic plan implementation. On July 24th, there'll be another 2-part training. The first will be on board governance, and the next will be on conflicts of interest. And then the last training will be on October 23rd. It'll be another 2-part training. The first on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the concluding training for this year will be on our whistleblower policy. So we need approval from the board in order to lock these trainings down. So do I have a motion to vote on the acceptability of the trainings?
Make a motion to accept the training plan recommended.
Thank you. Bill?
I'll second.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, all in favor of approving the schedule of board trainings signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Okay.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, it looks like the ayes have it. The motion's passed, and I'll turn the meeting back over to Julie.
Thank you, Bruce. Yes, so we will get that training plan off to DDS by the end of the month, now that we have all of those trainings nailed down. And we have our presenters also, they've said yes. Some of them don't necessarily know the dates, but they have committed. So we're entirely grateful for that. It was completely my oversight to not include at that time the advisory committee for individuals served and their families. So my apologies to Jay. Should have been before the vendor advisory committee.
No problem, Julie. Thank you. So we have an interesting presentation by Daniela about our new social rec draft, but we couldn't approve it since we didn't have a quorum. So probably we'll present it to you during the next board meeting for the approval. And we have more interesting training program coming up in upcoming months in February, March, and April about service coordinator, regional center operations, individual and family experience and satisfaction, and early start and employment information. So, and we have few updates on SGP. So we have now 151 enrolled, which is very encouraging. And SGP, the self-determination advisory, is reaching out through their outreach program to enhance more implementation on SGP, and they're empowering their families through training and support group. And they also have a waiting room where the families can share their resources. So that's it for right now. So probably next time we'll have the more topics for you to report. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll move on to my report, and I've got some stuff to tell you. So Jesse and I were both at the ARCA Board of Directors meeting earlier this last week. Seems a little farther away at the moment, but a lot of really great things are happening at ARCA and actually system-wide. I'm going to put a couple of different links in the chat if I can. So the first one is that Tri-Counties Regional Center has come out with a series of videos, animated videos, very professionally done, produced videos that explain the HCBS final rule. And we got sort of like a nice little first look before they were published, and they are fantastic. They're really great at explaining in very everyday language what exactly all of the different requirements are. And so that is the ARCA press release. And then I also have, so it's just on YouTube from Tri-Counties Regional Center. And there you go. So just for anybody that doesn't know, Mark Wolf is the board president over at Tri-Counties Regional Center and also the ARCA board president. And he is also I think in his previous working life, a producer in Hollywood. And so he's got some connections. And then through collaboration between the regional centers and ARCA and DDS and his networking abilities, they put together all of these. So it's definitely something to take a look at. Oh, good. Thank you, Lucina. We'll be posting these videos on our website as well, because they're just fantastic. And there's even a really great video too about the making of the whole series of videos and how the some of the voice actors, because it is animated, are individuals served themselves. So really, that was really fantastic. Another thing that we talked about and actually approved as the ARCA board is that ARCA as an association is going to be a sponsor for the CalTASH conference that's coming up in March 1st and 2nd up in Sacramento. And I haven't decided whether I'm whether I can really get the time to go myself, but there's a ton of different sessions, breakout sessions and everything that really seem to run the gamut of all of the individuals served in this regional center, from everything from education to self-determination to just everything in between. So the theme of the conference is a self-determined life. But like I said, there's a ton of different opportunities and sessions. So I encourage everyone to check this out. ARCA, again, is a sponsor of this. So that just goes to show the level of support that our system has for this particular conference. And one other thing is that ARCA also, we voted that will be co-sponsoring a bill for this blue envelope program, which I hadn't heard about, but maybe some of you have. And I don't profess to know all about it yet, but basically it would be this blue envelope that individuals could keep with them in their vehicles that would have a piece of identification, vehicle registration, but it's a very visible sign to law enforcement that there is someone in the car who has, something that they need to be aware of. Most likely someone in an individual served in our system, but that, there may be behavioral issues, there may be cognitive issues, there may be something that they need to be aware of. So once again, ARCA, we voted to, was it co-sponsor? Yes, co-sponsor this particular piece of legislation because as a system, we just feel it is very, very important to get the word out, the education, the awareness out to everybody in the community. One last little bit of news is something that I'm very thrilled to announce to our entire board is that our executive director, Jesse, has been selected to serve on one of ARCA's advisory committees, and that is their nominating and bylaws committee, which of course is, I think, pretty great and pretty prestigious. So this committee will be drafting any sort of revisions to the ARCA bylaws going forward, of course. And this committee also will be discussing and submitting slates of officers for consideration to the whole board for just as our board does for their officer positions. So round of applause for our very own executive director on the nominating and bylaws committee. I think it's awesome. So it was a busy couple of days last week, wasn't it? Yeah, it really was. So, but a lot of really great things too. So if you can check out some of those links in the chat, I think you'll find them very, very interesting also. So that sort of concludes what I have to tell you. Over to Jesse.
Thank you, Julie. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see everybody here on this Wednesday. Hopefully no more earthquakes or aftershocks and everybody's being safe. It was reminding me of emergency preparedness and all of the things that we don't always anticipate that we need to be mindful about when natural disasters happen. So let me share my screen here with everybody. Let me see. Give me one moment. I think it's loading. Can everybody see this okay?
Yes.
Okay, and you now have it in the folder too. Thank you, Erica. Some moving parts, so I tried to give you as much live information as possible. So I'm going to go through our report for this evening for all of you. First up, kicking off 2024, I'm very pleased to announce that we're going to continue community coffees that I've been doing out in the communities at different sites. So we'll be announcing that at our upcoming meetings for anybody who wants to host and have me at their site or location. As a reminder, I'm willing to go anywhere in our area, and also we bring our own coffee and we try to be good guests. But it's an opportunity for me to get to meet the programs and for the community to come and learn about the programs, And there was actually one this morning I got to attend at LC Vocational Day Program in Pomona. Very impressed with the programming, the person-centered approaches I got to participate and see this morning. So shout out to that program for doing some amazing work there. Next update I have for everybody, Seesaw Community. This is an exciting one. We have a relationship we've been connected with Seesaw Community. It's an organization who provides job training and employment opportunities for individuals that we serve. And as one of their many things that they do, they have a entity called Seesaw Coffee and Beans. And Sal Gonzalez, I want to give him full credit, our Director of Service Access and Equity, had the idea to include this organization as part of our language access and cultural competency funds to bring them into different groups and workshops we were doing with our community to really bring in the essence of the work that we do of individuals served working. And they got a really good reputation while they were at our regional center, setting up, they're doing barista work and making amazing coffees. And so we've entered into a working agreement with Seesaw Coffee and Beans to have individuals that we serve have a coffee cart in our lobby towards the back if you've been on our site there. That's right now 1 day a week. We're hoping to make that a little bit more for our workforce to purchase coffee and or the community at large, anybody coming in as a way to promote their business. So we just supply the space and they bring their own stuff. And it's such a inspiring model. I would share on behalf of our staff who get to witness true action of when we talk about employment opportunities of having that as part of our culture at our regional center. So it's very new to the beginning phases, but we're really excited. And it's launched. I think this is their second time already with us. And so we're expecting more. And once we get it fully operational up and running, we'll promote it to the community because it'll be available to anybody who wants to bypass Starbucks on the way in. And I'm a big Starbucks person, but you really have to give this coffee a try because it really is amazing. And it's really impressive and inspiring. So wanted to share that with everybody here today. Strategic planning, we've been very, very active over the past few months of strategic planning. We are working towards our new 3-year strategic plan. We've been working in partnership with multiple stakeholders and our board and our committees and our ad hoc committee. And we did a lot of work. We were really hoping for December 15th to have our strategies and our key performance indicators done, but due to the holidays, it pushed us back a little bit. And so now we're working with kind of a newer timeline of January 31st at the end of the month to have most areas developed before it goes back for another review process with our board and our individuals who've been involved. But what we have so far, due to everybody here, due to all the feedback and all the surveys, all the focus groups, all of the interviews that have been done over the past few months to work with our community groups, have really allowed us to have a very thoughtful and meaningful plan. And so we have goals that have been developed. We have strategies that have been, they're being fine-tuned of how we're going to achieve our goals. We have metrics. We are looking at timelines that are reasonable. And we are also looking at key performance indicators. And just today had the opportunity for our board president and our chair of our strategic development committee meet with our consultant because we are now entering the phase of plan design about what our actual plan is going to look like with graphics and images and layout and all of those areas. So we're on the home stretch with it, just to give everybody updates there. But it would not be possible without all of the collaboration and partnerships with all of you here in the community at large, which was one of our values when we started this process, was to make sure that we have a product that everyone feels is part of their vision, and also that everybody had an opportunity to participate in this process, which was the number one priority for us, that everybody had some sort of platform and some sort of way to connect in this process so we can get every input possible in this. And so it's really coming out. Very proud of the work that's going into it. And our community at large, I think we'll see a big push on implementation and communication in the month of February, because we were going to make sure that this plan remains very active and very fluid and help structure our next couple of years as a regional center. Last quick update under state and local, the Association of Regional Center Agencies, Julie gave a report out on all of the areas that were happening there. I just want to do a quick reminder, and if anybody wasn't aware, that we do have a new associate director that reports to Amy Westling as the executive director, who's Tony Anderson, a fantastic former executive director at Valley Mountain. And now he's at ARCA doing really his passion and a lot of the amazing work and his experience. So we have another really amazing voice at a systems level. So it's been a pleasure to hear that news and to be able to work with Tony in his new capacity and strengthening ARCA. Budget talk, I know. So when I left everybody here, I believe I threw out information around a $68 billion deficit that we were receiving. And then the holidays came. I told people not to worry. Well, a lot of movements happened since then because of our California Constitution. The governor is required to put out a proposal of the governor's budget, of his budget proposal by the 10th of January. And so we have learned since then that $68 billion projection that was thrown out by the LAO's office, Legislative Analyst Office, is really coming down to more 37.9, rounding up to 38 billion. Still a deficit, not as large as what the governor's office was reporting out on, but you'll see some allocations. There are some numbers if you want to get into logistics around how that number came in a little bit lower. Major takeaway so far in this process. And excuse me, everybody, let me check the chat, make sure I'm not missing. Okay, want to make sure I wasn't missing any questions coming in. A major concern, significant concern that came up that you'll see here is number one is the, it comes out to a little bit of billion, I think a little over $1 billion around delaying the rate implementation for our service providers. The original date was July 1, 2025, and our provider community throughout the state did so much work to get that accelerated because the amount of distress, and we're only 50% of the way. And so this is a very big deal because when you look at the comments and if you talk to the provider community, they will let you know that delaying it by a year is very troublesome for them. There have been some organizations who've been projecting these rates and anticipating them to happen in July 1. And so if this goes through the way that's anticipated, this is another hardship for providers. So we're going to have to do a lot of advocacy here. ARCA has a position statement talking about the concerns by doing this. We are also probably have to do our own advocacy. I plan on Chris, the vendor advisory committee, bringing this up. And I fully support a letter from us, the San Gabriel Pomona Regional Center, about the concerns that this causes the provider community. So I think we need to be really active in this area to do everything we can because our providers have already been in distress and this just adds another layer of stress. And so some people use the word delay, but it feels like a cut and it is a cut for this year so far what we know. So it's still in policy, which is there. So we know this will be coming, but we need to do and everything we can on our end to help support that proposal to be removed. It would be ideal to keep us at a July 1, 2024 date. I don't know if that's going to happen. So we need to prepare for that. You'll see that there was some savings from some preschool inclusion grants. They've never been implemented. They've been in conceptual stage for the past couple of years. So there won't be any changes for us there, but they've got pushed back till 2026. So we'll learn more about those in a couple of years. You'll see that there is continued assessment going on for approximately 10 million as it relates to the database and systems that regional centers use for our technology enhancements. And so we're looking at that. You'll see that there's a reduction for positions known as participant choice specialist positions. Those were awarded for 3 years, and those outcomes have been achieved. And so those are areas that regional centers will be looking at to make sure that we're continuing to support. ARCA will be saying that these positions are critical because anything we do to help support self-determination in those, we want to continue to support in every way possible. That came up as part of the governor's budget as well. You also see some reduction there for that newly implemented service, coordinated family supports for approximately 36 million. for one-time funding. We do have some funding established, so we don't know quite yet what that looks like for us as a system. So we'll have to get more information, but you'll see that's an area that's been identified as a reduction. And then 2 areas is increasing 22.9 million towards social rec and camping. Very important to our communities, very important to the legislators on camp and social rec. And so there's a lot of movement there around accessibility, which Daniela talked about this morning or this evening, I'm sorry, for the social rec and camp policy that we have to make it more accessible. So we're seeing some continued supports there, and the 14.9 million increase for the direct support staff workforce training and development for trainings, if individuals participate in certain trainings to get stipends and develop their workforce. So we're seeing continued supports there. So that's what's coming back. The other area of interest that's not a fiscal policy, but you're going to see is that the Department of Developmental Services is going, at least the proposal as of now, is going to be required to have a master plan for developmental disabilities. And we'll have to understand in the next couple of weeks and months around what that looks like. But what we know, what the governor or his thinking is, at least we can tell so far, is that by the end of the year, which is very ambitious, is that the department needs to establish a more quality-driven and individual-served friendly experience through the development of a program management system, looking at data, analyzing data, making recommendations, emphasizing quality, equity, and outcomes while improving regional center accountability. And the plan must be person-centered, equity-focused, and data-driven. So we can expect that kind of work, I would imagine, with stakeholder feedback and different work to go into understanding what that master plan looks like. And once we have a master plan as a system, the question will be, what does that look like for us locally for a regional center, and how do we make sure that we're building our systems towards complying and meeting those expectations that comes in by having a master plan. Senate and Assembly subcommittees will continue to be held. Those dates will be shared with our community. ARCA does a really good job about keeping us updated on our next steps. So keep in mind that everything I'm sharing with everybody is the governor's proposal. So there's a lot of work that's going to happen between now and the May revise. So we could see some areas change or shift, or this could stay the way that it is. And so this is where it's the first part of this budget process that has been released to us so far. Directives has been very directive heavy from the department. Chris touched upon this already in his report. I just want to let everybody kind of know what's happening, because this is another stressor for our ICF providers. Due to the switch for ICF providers to be under managed care, it is shifting what we know for reimbursement, for claims, for funding purposes. And it has been, we have a full team approach. Shout out to Hortensia and her team here, and Lucina and Tim, and case management, everybody working together to help provide supports. But even with those supports, there's been a lot of bumps in the road for providers. And so we're trying to understand what those bumps are so we can do the best we can. The good news is that the department released guidance that we have authority as a regional center, that when there are issues or disruption in that payment towards our ICF providers, that we can jump in and help fund temporarily. We can help fund temporarily that placement so providers can get paid and do the work they need to do, but then they have to reimburse us back within 15 days of receipt of receiving that payment. So there's some really clear framework. So while this is helpful, the feedback I'm getting is that this is still not as helpful because of the claims that have to be done within 30 days. And so basically the way it reads is a provider has to wait 30 days and demonstrate that they went through this process. And 30 days is a long time to be waiting. And so there was information provided today from the department. It's not in writing yet, but we're very hopeful that that 30 days will be relaxed, which might be even more relief for providers. That's not in writing yet, but we're hopeful to get that. But you'll see that there's some framework, and we'll continue to work with our ICF providers. there's some forms they need to fill out. We have workflows developed. The team moved very quickly and even put out a communication through constant contact. And that way we can ensure that our ICF providers know that this is available, and then all of the authorizations that go in place. So there's a big workload impact here, but it's the right thing and it's necessary. And I just want to say thank you to our ICF providers out there, all residential providers, but ICF in particular at this moment, who are navigating this huge shift from what they know. And it really is troublesome from a fiscal perspective. And so anything we do to make this easier and provide supports, please let us know. We're going to continue to do so. A couple other updates as it relates to directives specific to adult residential facilities for persons with special health care needs. It's a long term there, also known as an ARC cushion. And then we also, if there are anywhere in the state that have group homes for children with special health care needs, I tried to put the acronyms there with the words so we can understand what's happening there. But it's a reminder, the department is reminding regional centers that our community placement plans must have a program design that includes nursing policies and procedures. So that's part of our requirements already, but it's reinforcing that we're looking for those areas. So the team will be following up accordingly because it will be reviewed by regional center and the department as it relates to best practices. Continued work going on as it relates to quality incentives for specific residential providers can get certain money amounts that have been identified for meeting certain requirements. And so we're advertising that as well for certain facilities that qualify, and more information to come on this one in January 2024. So I don't think it's came out yet. I'll double check just to make sure. But if basically what it means that if these settings that you see listed meet certain requirements as it relates to prevention and wellness that are identified, they might be eligible to receive up to $1,000 per resident and a little bit more in an ARC cushion because it's so specialized, which would be $1,200. So we're just really tracking any kind of incentive that we can promote for our service provider community that they're eligible. That is there as well. And then we're also receiving routine information from the department on incentive payments as relates to the workforce for individuals who are completing the data surveys that have been not required, but it's a possibility for providers to complete. And so we get a list of who we need to pay by their information, and we continue to work on that. So I think that's coming from Lucina and Tim and some team members there, really keeping up on those incentive payments as well. Great news for ILS. I saw Nancy here earlier and SLS representing both worlds, but for specific to the ILS minimum wage increase, you'll see that we've been working towards getting our systems in place to get that going for ILS providers. It's a little bit of a raise. I believe our ILS providers have gotten their new rates. I'm fairly certain, and we'll continue to work making sure that we get them those increases that they very much deserve and much overdue. And I'm going to finish this up here with our staffing, some very unique stats to San Gabe. We have been growing, we have been recruiting, even during the holidays. We have currently 505 authorized positions. So we exceeded our 500 thresholds for authorized positions. And you'll see on the report, if you have an interest, of all the different areas of operation we're recruiting for as it relates to service coordination, which has been a goal of ours, especially through their 5th birthday ages of individuals we serve, which should be at a 1-to-40 ratio. We've done a lot of work internally to try to achieve those numbers. So we've been working towards those as a priority. And then you'll see the other positions here that have been critical to our organization. We currently, as of December, ending December, we served 16,698 individuals. You're going to see, I want to say record-breaking numbers for how many people are coming through early start. 159 new referrals in a month. The teams are working at capacity. We do not have enough psychologists. We are struggling with having sufficient psychologists. Shout out to Lucina and Hortensia, doing the best we can to work on their rates. And we are bringing in psychologists, contract and vendored, So we're seeing some movement there. We're really proud of it. Still not enough to keep up with the demand that we have. And so this is an area that we're continuing to look at because we want to get people through the intake and eligibility process as quickly as possible with the resources we have. But you can just imagine for a team of clinicians where there's a on there. So we want to say thank you to our assessors and everybody who's doing their part to get people into our system. We're continuing to grow, which is why our numbers are increasing right on the cusp of serving over 17,000 individuals total. And STP, we had a good discussion. Yanette and Jesse did a great report before here, but just want to show everybody in the report, if you have an interest in self-determination, we're continuing to implement. We have 147 participants. And then there's always updates I try to include in here on the different activities around self-determination as well. So lots of amazing work going on. And that concludes my executive director report for this evening.
Thank you, Jesse. A lot of stuff happening right now. And oh yeah, Nancy is still here. I see her in the chat. ILS did get missed from the other rate adjustments, but we're happy it's moving forward. Yes, agreed. All right. Do we have, I'm going to make a call for any other board or community announcements. We'll open it up if anybody's got something they want to add, say, at this point in time. The board itself does not have an executive session tonight. So without any other input from it. Yes.
I'm sorry, I have my hand up. I can't see it because my
oh, I didn't see it. Lucina, go ahead.
Just a couple of announcements. And I don't know if I mentioned this last month, and you know about it, Julie, because we had you sign a contract, but we got 6 additional apartments that were awarded to us. And so now we have 11 apartments through affordable housing in Pomona, on Mission. It's not built yet. They haven't broken ground, but we're excited. We're going to have 11 opportunities. The rent will be 30% of SSI, which is about $350. So it's something that's going to really change the lives of those who can rent there, because they'll be able to have money to do things that we do on weekends, right? And so it's exciting. So we went from 5 apartments to 11 apartments. So we're excited about that. The apartment gave us additional money. So it's quite a bit of money, but we thank them for that. We also did get our approvals this last week for projects we're going to be doing this year. We'll be posting requests for proposals. One is going to be an enhanced behavioral support home for children. It'll help those foster kids who are in long-term homes through the Department of Children and Family Services. It will be a 4-bed home. We already have the property. We're just going to be looking for a provider. We also are going to be looking for a provider for an enhanced behavioral support home 4-bed for adults who have forensic issues. We are still in search for the property, but now we're also going to search for the provider. So we'll be posting that request for proposal as well. We also are going to be doing, and we got money for this year. We did one last year for adults. This will be for teens. It's going to be a social connection workshop series for teens, 13 to 17-year-old. Topics, we're going to do a request for proposal to find a provider who's willing to do this workshop series for us. It's going to address positive body image, safe social media, relationships, dating, and bullying. We'll also include a parental component to that, at least one session for parents, to kind of talk to them about some of the issues teens might be going with, especially bullying, and how they can, address that or help with that, or how to work with their children in schools and other organizations on that topic. And so we're excited we're going to be able to present that for our teens. It went really well for our adults. And so we now have an opportunity to do teens. And then we got some additional monies to develop a tool for all of LA County, which really addresses housing and readiness for housing. And so we'll be doing a request for proposal, and we will be working with our LA County regional centers to develop that tool and share it with them, so we can, all in LA County, and if other regional centers across other areas want to use it, we're open to that as well. So those are our projects that we're going to be working on this next year. So thank you.
That's awesome. Let's see. Nancy said, when will folks be able to apply for some of those RFPs. I don't know whether, Nancy, you were speaking to one in particular, or?
We will be posting them. We just got approval of them. So now we are going to write the request for proposal, put them on our website, and then we usually have it open for 2 to 3 or 4 weeks, depending on the time limit. But we'll be posting those for probably in the next month or so. We still have to work on them. We still have to gather staff at the regional center who want to be part of the selection process, and probably for the social connection workshop, we might even do a bidders conference, just because it's such a different topic that we usually don't do. And we want to, be successful. We want to get providers who are willing to do this topic and who are experienced.
Yeah.
We'll be doing a constant contact when those requests for proposals go out. We always make sure the community knows through our webmaster, and we advertise it at all the meetings that we have. So we'll be doing that.
That's great.
So thanks for asking.
Thank you for that. As a reminder, next month's board meeting is the first in our calendar year of trainings. And as approved tonight, the topic is understanding the history and the evolution of DDS in the regional center system. Amy Westling, the executive director of ARCA, has agreed to do this presentation for us. So really looking forward to that. We have quite a few newer board members for the last time that we had one of these trainings that kind of gave us, like a contextual overview of, what we're volunteering in right now. It's been a little bit, so that will be the focus, the overall focus of our the next time we all come together in February. So that being said, thank you so much to everyone for spending time with us on a Wednesday night in January, and stay dry, stay warm, and hopefully aftershock free. So. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Good night.
Bye, Tina.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.